Hey, welcome to Everyday Economics. The podcast helps you understand the economic world going on all around us. Everyday Economics is brought to you by the Center Square Newswire service. I'm Chris Krug. I'm publisher of the Center Square, and Orphe Divounguy is my partner on this show. He's a PhD economist. Today is Monday, January 19th, 2026. It's MLK Jr. Day. And in this episode, we're going to go back into the economic recovery. On Everyday Economics, we have talked... I don't know. I think we have to probably go back maybe 3, maybe 4 months through the government shutdown, where we lost visibility on a lot of data points that are, certainly helpful to, talking about what's happening in an economy that is coming back online slowly. I mean, we're going to get a piece of data this week, which has been delayed since November, which is a core CPE, fairly important, or PCE coming up. It's a fairly important piece of data. In our first episode of this week, we did talk a little bit about, the K-shaped recovery that's occurring here in the economy, and to sort of explain that, to get us out of the gate, that, as we're emerging from super high, inflation, you see one group of people, the upper leg of the K, or the upper arm of the K, seem to be doing perfectly fine. And we've talked about, the circumstances of that group. They're working in a stable environment where their wages have increased or stayed the same, but they are making it work.
Not necessarily their wages, right? So it's also like income gains from their stock market holdings, for example, right?
Sure.
Capital gains. And I think historically, what we've seen is that anytime you've had new advances in technology, like we're experiencing right now with AI, you get this little surge in productivity. And the gains of that productivity increase accrue to capital owners, right? And, essentially profits, as opposed to workers. And then this reallocation of those gains, right? Pushing up those who own the capital. As opposed to workers, and so that is part of the story that's going on right now.
But fair to say that group is also maintaining employment. They are bringing money in, which allows them to continue to invest. They're not drawing away from the investments that they've made to cover living costs. I mean,
they're less reliant. I think that group at the top is less reliant on their wage incomes.
Sure.
Right? Their labor incomes, as much as they are their capital gains.
They're thriving. I mean, they're thriving. But it's the bottom leg of the K that we want that we wanted to talk about, and what's happening for them or not happening for them. So let me pose the question there. What's not happening for people on the lower leg of this recovery?
It's a low hire labor market. It is, if you have a job, you're stuck.
Right.
If you don't have a job, you're stuck. And I feel terrible for those who don't have a job, because there is just nowhere to go. Not a lot of opportunity. And in fact, the deputy chief economist at Moody's Analytics, Christian Doritas, I did a panel with him, I think a couple of years ago. Really sharp. Wrote about this just yesterday. I just read this yesterday.
Okay.
And he talks about he raises this important question: does the K always lead to an L-shaped stagnation? Right? What is he talking about? L-shaped stagnation. Well, look, if you have near zero employment growth, right? If you are, you get basically consumer demand stalls, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
You end up in an economy, that where there's a prolonged period of no growth in employment, no improvements in labor and wage prospects, job and wage prospects for vast majority of people. So it is very possible that the K that we're seeing today could turn into an L, right, or a stagnation environment. What I think found really compelling about his story is that it says it's not inevitable. We can actually change it.
Yeah.
Policy policy can actually make a difference here, to change that,
Well, let's
right?
talk about it. So, I
Yeah.
mean, the Federal Reserve, and is certainly central to turning up opportunity, turning down opportunity, right? I mean, in terms of monetary policy, we have a meeting coming up the 27th and the 28th of this month. Um, with your understanding of sort of where we are in this economic continuum at this point, I mean, does some kind of you know uh, change in rate that would benefit more spending, so a drop in the prime borrowing rate, does that help at this point? Does that hurt at this point? Is it a non-factor at this point? As you look forward toward a kind of a solution and make a recommendation here on what could be done with economic policy to benefit the people who are on the bottom side of this K-shaped recovery, what are the things that you're looking at or would be looking toward for change that would benefit that group?
Well, I think the first thing is that Fed policy is not actually very good, when it comes to issues of inequality, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
right? You lower interest rates, and potentially what do you get? Well, you get a less deterioration in the labor market,
Mm-hmm.
but ultimately you probably get more spending on AI, and it's a boon to the stock market,
Mm-hmm.
and inequality increases even more.
So the
All
gap
right,
the gap could potentially
yeah,
widen.
widen.
Is that simply like the moment that we're in? I mean, do we have to kind of get through whatever it is that AI is going to do for the labor force in the United States and then figure it out from there? Or, I mean, certainly not everything, is AI, and not every investment that every business would make is going to be, made toward AI. If rates were lower, I mean, businesses would be encouraged, I think, to borrow a little bit more to make investments in things that they're already doing. I would assume to be more competitive in the marketplace as it is rather than in the future. Certainly, anything that touches tech is right now is keenly interested in what AI can do for it to reduce labor costs and ultimately to become more efficient inside of their space, whatever it is that they're trying to do, wherever they compete. But in the meantime, isn't there a potential economic benefit to the labor force with a reduced Fed rate?
Yeah, well, I mean, for sure. I mean, it's preventing the worst. It doesn't necessarily close the gap.
Mm-hmm.
And again, going back to Christian's article, he talks about universal capital ownership.
Mm-hmm.
I like to not to give any credit to the current administration only, because I think this idea has been around for a while, proposed by many economists. This idea of giving babies a share of, a little bit of action in the stock market,
Sure.
right? And like baby funds, right? And this idea of getting more and more people of all races, right, included inclusion, giving them more access into the gains that most are seeing in the stock market, right? Increasing participation, or at least encouraging participation in stock market exposure, I think is going to be very important for the future. Changing the way people think about, and we talked about this off the air, about like, hey, what is it that you invest in?
Right.
What kind of skills do you invest in? Well, the world is changing. And so I think ultimately helping people make that adjustment is going to be absolutely key. The best paying jobs today are all related to AI. And then, of course, this is the one that's somewhat controversial in some circles. This idea of like a universal basic income or universal basic services to support some of the people that are making the transition but are not quite there yet. So yeah, I mean, a lot needs to be done. Some of it, straightforward. Some of it somewhat controversial. Some of it people will agree and disagree with and, battle it out. But ultimately, a lot needs to be done to prevent what he calls in his article the Japanification of the U.S. economy. Now, remember, Japan went through the surge in growth due to technology, and then they ended up in this kind of period of zero lows, if not zero growth.
Right. Almost stasis. I mean, in the 1990s, right?
Yes, stagnant economy, and so yeah, I mean, this is it. I think it was really well written. I think the analysis is pretty strong. Policy needs to step in, but I think Fed policy is so limited. We've seen that time and time again. I mean, even in during the COVID pandemic, the economy did not really boom until fiscal policy got involved.
Yeah.
The Fed had kept interest rates very low post-global financial crisis. The economy was just going along, barely going along. And then in 2016, I think some stuff happened in 2016, 2017. We got some tax cuts coming from the administration. And then during COVID, the floodgates really opened. We made money available to everyone.
And some of that's in the news right now.
Yeah. At a cost, of course, we paid the price with higher inflation for sure. But it had an impact, right? Yeah. You give people money to spend and they go out and spend it. It had an impact. The economy grew, came out of COVID in record speed, more faster than anybody had thought was possible, right? After a global pandemic, right? So yeah, we know that fiscal policy has a massive impact, and that the Fed tools are somewhat limited, somewhat blunt. And if you were trying to fix a problem like income or wealth inequality, you're probably better off doing it looking to Congress for the solution.
Right, maybe outside of massive stimulus during a global pandemic event.
Something more thought, carefully thought, right? Yeah, something more, carefully studied to fix the problem, right? Rather than just giving checks to everyone, including those who hadn't lost their jobs.
Right.
During the pandemic.
Let's come back around next week and talk about solutions for this economy. And you and I'll both do a little bit of prep for that, and we'll make that into a conversation. But we have to call it good for now. Thanks as always, Dr. Rowe. Make sure that you read Orphe's Everyday Economics column every Monday in the Center Square and across the Center Square Newswire, and listen to what we have to say each weekend on the Center Square Radio Hour.